Thank you. Now recognize Representative Joyce from Ohio for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Chairman Kelly. And first, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank you for your, Ranking Member Crowe, for the fair and honest way in which you've handled this matter, and to the distinguished colleagues I have here on this committee for their use of their background. Since my background seems to be in appropriations, and I happen to have chaired the Homeland Security Appropriations Subcommittee in 24, I'm pretty familiar with your budget. Yes, sir. And so I think I want to go down that lane with you. In the September CR, Congress approved $231 million in supplemental funding for the agency led up to the 24 election in November. Director Rowe, Acting Director Rowe, could you describe specifically how that funding was used? How did you prioritize where to allocate it, and how those decisions will impact the longer-term resource needs of the agency?
Sure. So there were immediate needs that we used a portion of that money for. So we are submitting regular reports back to the Appropriations Committee. So they are closely tracking this, and we see this as an opportunity to prove that we can fiscally spend this money in a very responsible way. Those immediate needs were, following July 13th, we made a request to the Department of Defense for increased air mobility support. That's a reimbursable agreement that we have with them. We increased our reimbursable agreements with other partner agencies to fill some personnel gaps that we had. Tactical operators from other agencies from across the department, other support when it came to counter UAS, support for screening with the TSA. So as we brought up the president-elect and the vice president, we brought them up to the highest levels of Secret Service protection, same level as the president. And so we needed that money for additional reimbursable agreements, requests for assistance that we have with other agencies. We've also started moving money out to acquire more materials that we needed. As we started to put more assets out on the road, classified assets, ballistic assets, now the wear and tear on that is going to increase. So now we have to make sure that we can acquire more and put more money down on contracts so that as we are going to now go through the service life of these materials, we have to be able to replenish them and replenish them quickly. So some of these are long lead items. So that money has been very, very helpful to us in making sure that we can address our immediate needs.
Great. In your written testimony for this hearing, you referenced that one of the practices after taking over the agency has been realigning agency technology programs with the appropriate operational entities across the Secret Service with the goal of effectively leveraging internal research and the development of emerging technologies. Director Rowe, could you provide additional detail on what has been included in that process, and has the DHS been helpful to your agency in pursuing technological modernization efforts? Have you worked with the Science and Technology Directorate or any of the DHS components to evaluate available technologies already being used by the department or any recent developments in these emerging technologies?
Yes, yes, we have, Congressman. So S&T has been very helpful to us with our technical security. We actually use some of their money to do some sandbox testing of things that we're looking at. Many, many years ago, we had an Office of Protective Research, and that office did a lot of R&D, did a lot of evaluation of things. There was a reorganization more than a decade ago, and that research element within the Secret Service kind of went away. It was ad hoc. We often relied on other partners, DoD, for example, to do a lot of research, DARPA and other entities. One of the things that I wanted to do was to create our own in-house ability to do applied research so that we are working with other agencies formally, like S&T, like DARPA, like others in the military that are operationalizing a lot of technologies. And so one of the things that we've done, and one of the things I'm trying to do is put the secret back in the Secret Service, but there's been media coverage of this, so I'll talk about it. Right now at Mar-a-Lago, we've started using a sensor array, an autonomous robot that's out there walking the seawall right now. It has a sensor package. We will use it at sites. We've started using it. And those are the types of technologies that have been out there, that have been in DoD world for years. We need to start leveraging those resources. And so the use of the autonomous canines down there right now is just one example of that.
I'm glad to hear that. You know, I was disheartened to hear what some of the things that were brought up before about the failure of communication. I thought after 9/11 we cured that and we'd have uniform platforms, and all law enforcement, especially at activities such as the ones that Secret Service are involved in, are in communication all the time. So I'm glad to know that you're at least using these funds to try to progress the integrity of your communication system network-wide. Thank you. Yield back.
Thank you, Ms. Joyce. Also I recognize right now Representative Correa from California for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you and our ranking member, Rowe, for holding these important hearings today. And Director Rowe, I want to thank you for the good job you've done